All right, welcome back to For Nostalgic Reasons. And for today's video, it's going to be a music-based video. Basically, I've been thinking about a lot about how I listen to music and the different artists I listen to and why I like their music, and just centered basically around like all the great artists that came out. Then I thought about, what are some of my favorite years in rap. When I listen to music, sometimes I make playlists when I'm in the car, when I'm driving home, when I'm in the shower, whenever I'm listening to music, whatever. I kind of center what I listen to. So, like for instance, if I'm listening to a song from like 2011 or whatever, if I'm making a playlist, I'll like for instance, if I'm listening like Take Care, if I'm listening to what else came out there? Basically, whatever. I'll basically like listen to that song, and then like after that song's over, I'll try to like keep a playlist going, like kind of like a DJ or whatever, and I'll try to like pick another song that was like hot that year. And I'll keep it going like that until I get tired of that year, and then I'll move on to the next year. So with that thought process, what are actually my favorite? Like I said, what are my favorite years? So I had to narrow it down after a long time thinking about like, oh man, so many bangers came out this year, and that year was crazy, and oh man, that year was wild too. But I had to narrow it down to 3 years, and I'm gonna share my two honorable mentions at the end. But my top three favorite years since the 2010s. At a later date, I will do the 2000s, and at some point, I will do the past 20 years, and that's just for a later date. We'll get to that later. But my top three favorite years in hip hop. I think I'm going to start number three and then number one. So, number three, I gotta go. Let me see. I think I'm going to go with 2010. Now, 2010, I gotta remind y'all what came out in 2010. Start of the decade. What happened? Off top, my favorite artist, this man Drake dropped his first studio album, Thank Me Later. Amazing album, classic album. Well, great album. Can't say it's a classic, but it was a great album. Like Eminem came out with Recovery that year. Wiz Khalifa came out with his Rolling Papers album came out that year. What else? Kanye's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy came out that year. What else? Nicki Minaj's first album. What was her first album called? What was her first album? Pink Friday. Yeah, Pink Friday came out that year. Waka Flocka album came out that year. Just so many. Like if we look at like the different songs that came out in 2010, Black and Yellow. Chris Brown made his comeback that year. After the whole entire Rihanna thing, he came out with his album. Deuces was on that album. That was an amazing song. Look at Me Now with Busta Rhymes and Lil Wayne. Come on, like everybody in 2010 was trying to rap Busta Rhymes' like verse. He's like when he's trying to rap all fast, everybody was trying to do that. Usher came out with "Oh My God," and speaking of that song, I remember back in 2010, I was what in sixth grade, seventh grade, somewhere around there. I remember that I remember going to my older stepbrother's iTunes, and I remember hearing "Oh My God" on the radio, and that song was so fire to me. And I just remember I had a whole bunch of outdated songs on my iPod, and I could not get to I wanted to download more songs off his iTunes and stuff like that. 'Cause I was taking all my songs from his stuff, and I was like, yo, I can't. He never would put that song on his iTunes. I was getting so mad, but he also didn't know that I was taking songs from his iTunes and putting them on my phone. So I was just sitting there just hoping and praying that he would download that song, because that song was such a banger to me. And I'm like, yo, I was like, look, trying to like use the force, yo, like download that jar onto your iTunes. He's never did it, and I just wanted to be able to like go on my iPod, just like on demand, like listen to it. Oh my god. Anyway, I remember the Unthinkable, the remix with Drake. His verse on that song just so fire. All I Do Was Win with DJ Khaled. That was a major banger. The first time I ever heard of Bruno Mars on B.O.B. song Nothing But You that came out that year. Um, what else? What else? B.O.B. was he came out. I'm not sure if he came out in 2010. I think he might have came out before that. But I know a lot of songs he dropped, like Airplanes. That was a great song. One of my favorite Rick Ross songs, Aston Martin Music, came out that year. Right above it, jeez, when on Lil Wayne's "I'm Not a Human Being," that was, oh my god. Trey Songz, "Bottoms Up." I remember that song was everywhere on the radio. "Bottoms Up," that joint was the "Hello Good Morning" by Diddy. I remember that they had that on NFL Network, and they had that jump playing like it was nobody's business. They had that like on repeat. I remember that was like their soundtrack for like a lot of different stuff. Um, but like so many songs. Soldier Boy, Big Draco. This man dropped with the song "Blowing Me Kisses." Pretty Boy Swag. That was such an oh my god. Yo, that was such a banger. Timberland's listen, I'm a Drake fan, so Drake was huge in 2010. But Say Something, that was one of my favorite songs for the longest time. I think my favorite songs from 2010 were probably Say Something, and I think No Hands by Waka Flocka and Roscoe Dash and Wale. Those two were probably like my favorite songs that year. And Oh My God too. That was my third. But so many songs, like Lil Wayne's Young Money album, Bedrock, Every Girl. Oh my god, bro. That was just what a time. What a time. Jeez, what a time. But yeah, 2010 takes my number 3 spot. With just so many bangers. My number 2 spot, I think I gotta give it up to 2015. Now 2015, that was the year I graduated. And 2015, first off, like I said, that was the year I graduated. So many songs, like that was just such an important time in my life. I remember I got my first car that year. Just trying to figure out what I was going to do after high school. Just the fact that I graduated high school, like I think I got my first job that year. My senior year of football, we ended up going 6-4. We made the playoffs, but we ended up losing to my old school. But 2015 was a wild time. It was definitely a wild time. But music-wise, 2015 off top. Everybody's gotta go with Drake again. His quote unquote classic album that everyone says is his only classic album. If you're reading this too late, came out that year off top. That's like, what more can we say about that? Also his album with Future, What a Time to Be Alive. Come on, man, what are we talking about? And someone that's so underrated that I feel like nobody talks about, dropped Montana of 300. Him and Talia, his label mate or one of his artists or whatever, Talia 300 dropped an album, Guns N' Roses. And when I tell you I had that album on repeat that entire year, that was my album. Yo, with his songs, my favorite song off that album was Rock and Roll. The last track on the album, that song slaps so hard. I remember his songs like Swagger Through the Roof. Hitters, that was a great song. Just off top, that's all I can think of off top. Let me see, what else was on that? What else came out that year? Fetty Wap. This man, Fetty Wap. He dropped his album, Trap Queen. Everyone was saying Trap Queen. That Trap Queen, 679. What is it? RGL Island. That was slaps. The Weekend, The Hills. I'm not that big of a Weekend fan, but The Hills was everywhere. It was undeniable. You can't go anywhere without hearing that song. Future's album, DS2. Where are you at? That was that song. Big Sean's album, which is my favorite Big Sean album. What is it called? Dark Sky Paradise. Yeah, Dark Sky Paradise with All Your Fault with him and Kanye. That's my favorite song off that album. Deep with him and Lil Wayne. I Know with him and Janae Aiko. I Don't Fuck With You. That song got overplayed. They ran that song to the dirt. But that song was a great song. That whole entire album, honestly, was just a great album. I think that's his best album to date. I don't care what nobody says. Dark Sky Paradise is what made me a Big Sean fan. There's nothing anybody can tell me about that. But what else came out that year? Travis Scott came out that year, Travis Scott dropped Antidote. I remember that was a good song. What else came out? Oh, Meek Mills. This man, that was last year. That was the last good Meek Mill year. That was right before him and Drake got into. Oh, Back to Back came out that year. Oh my God, Back to Back came out that year. Charged Up with whatever. I know everyone hates on Charged Up, but Charged Up was a good song. But like I said, Meek Mill's album, "But Dreams Are Worth More Than Dreams Worth More Than Money." All Eyes on You was a great song. What else was a great song that? Hold on, let me see. Oh yeah, Lord Knows. That was the intro track. Rico, Trillis, classic. That was my favorite song off that joint. Actually, no, I'm lying. My favorite song off there was All Eyes on You. What was the other song? I think I thought the one song with him and Nicki was on here. I think that was on her album. With Right By My Side. I think that was on Nicki's album, not his album. But yeah. But 2015, just so much music to listen to in 2015, man. Oh, Kendrick, To Pimp a Butterfly, which listen, To Pimp a Butterfly was a classic. It's undeniable. Black of the Berry, All Right. Hold on. What's the last song I was on? The outro. Oh, Mortal Man. I remember that. I remember listening to that song religiously, basically because at the very end of that song, it's him talking to Tupac and stuff, and he's like having a conversation with him. I thought that was like the hardest thing because I was just trying to figure out what interview he took that from or how he like put that together. And then just the way he put it together was like, I just thought that was phenomenal. Like I said, Tupac's like my favorite artist of all time, my favorite human being of all time, hands down. So like trying to figure out how he put that together, that was just like, that was just amazing to me. But King Kunta, These Walls, like that whole entire album was just, I think that album is so underrated actually. I don't feel like no one talks about that as much anymore. But that album is actually a really good album. But 2015, let's see what other singles came out in 2015. Like I said, The Weeknd. Post Malone, White Iverson came out that year. Montana 300. His remix to White Iverson, I think he bodied that song. Yo. Oh my God. I'm lost for words with that song, yo. This man, if you ever have the chance to look up the remix to White Iverson, Montana 300, like you will not be disappointed because he definitely, to me, he took that song. To me, that's Montana's song now. Like Post Malone got his song took, got his song snatched. It is what it is. Call it what you want. It is what it is. But 2015, definitely a great year. And my top favorite year, I think I gotta go 2012. 2012. Let's see what happened. My man, that was my sophomore year in high school. 2012, I just remember Finally, I think I switched school. Yeah, I switched schools. Um, that was the first year I started playing quarterback. I was playing for JV as a sophomore. I remember playing quarterback for the first time, or no, the second time, but actually like starting getting like actual playing time and stuff like that. I was starting. Um, what else? 2012. I just remember like that's pretty much all I remember for like 2012 personally. Just like switching schools and then playing quarterback for my high school for the JV high school. I remember my friends coming to the games and stuff, like cheering me on from like my old school and stuff like that. I remember playing like a whole bunch of different like rival schools and stuff. And like, I don't think our record was that good, but 20. I just remember overall. I just remember the experience of me playing quarterback, and I was out there like just doing what I wanted to do, or doing what I've always dreamed of doing, just playing quarterback and stuff. But musically, 2012, this man 2 Chainz dropped. I remember No Lie. Him and like I said, him and Drake came out. That Cashing Out was one of my like that was like the biggest song in my opinion. That was one of my favorite songs to come out. Wiz Khalifa dropped his album and Work Hard, Play Hard. That was Anthem. Chief Keef. Chief Keef. This man dropped Finally Rich, and my favorite song off that album is Hate Being Sober. That was the anthem for the longest time. For like the next 2 years, that was like that was my song. You hear it, I Don't Like, Love Sosa. I remember everyone like when I was going to my high school in Coatesville, everyone used to like quote the like very beginning of Love Sosa when he's like the bulls in the car talking about Chief Keef ain't this, Chief Keef ain't that, like that whole entire like intro to that song. Dreams and Nightmares. I'm from, like I said, I'm from PA, and Dreams and Nightmares, like Meek Mills from Philly, that was a huge thing back in 2012 when he dropped his first album. Because I remember up until then, he was dropping his Dream Chasers mixtapes, and then he actually dropped his studio album. And like, I feel like I don't know if anyone like feels this way, but I think Dreams and Nightmares is actually a classic album. I can listen to that album actually straight through. Like, Burn, bro. Hold on. We gotta appreciate that. Hold on, give me a second. We gotta appreciate this for a second. So everyone knows the intro to that song, like the actual Dreams Nightmares actual song. In God We Trust, that was a slap. Young and Getting It, that used to, oh my god. I used to play that song on blast through my headphones. I didn't want to hear nothing else but what this man was saying on that song. Kurt Cobain's, that was like his like chorus in that song killed that junk. Traumatized, Believe It, Maybach Curtains, which is actually like, oh my, I get chills every single time I listen to that song. Maybach Curtains is John Legend's part when he's singing, incredible. Amen, him and Drake, Young Kings, Layup with him, Wale, Trey Songz, Rick Ross, that is such a banger. Tony's Story Part 2, that was Polo and Shell Tops, Rich and Famous, Burnt. Oh my god, bro. Come on, man. If this man's ever dropped a classic album, his first studio album is definitely a classic. Everything else after that is debatable, but Dreams and Nightmares is not debatable. Like, that is an absolute classic. I don't care what nobody's talking about. I don't care what nobody says. That is an absolute classic. That whole entire album gets played straight through, like, zero skips on that job. But back to 2012. French Montana came out with his album. I know everyone makes fun of French Montana about like, oh, he doesn't make good songs unless he has other people on it. That may be true, but it is what it is. Like, he came out with Pop That. Paranoid was on that song. I thought that was a great song. What else came out that year? Stay Scheming with him, like Rick Ross, like Drake bodied Common and their whole entire beef, whatever, their little small beef, whatever. He killed that verse, took that verse over. Excuse me. Kendrick came out with Good Kid, Mad City after dropping a bunch of mixtapes before that, like I forget his mixtape name. I don't want to nickname, but Good Kid, Mad City, great album. Right by My Side with Nicki Minaj. That's what I was talking about. That song with her and Meek, Right by My Side. That was a great song. That album, I can't say I listened to the whole album, but that like there was a bunch of singles on that album that were actually pretty good. Uh, oh wait, so like Kanye's album with Good Music actually came out that year too. I remember Click came out that year. New God Flow. Actually, a bunch of other singles came out that year. Bands Make Her Dance, Juicy J, great song. Um, Rack City with Tyga, Faded with Tyga, Mercy with Kanye, Big Sean, Pusha T and 2 Chainz came out that year. Turn Off the Lights by Future. I remember that song was everywhere. Like I just remember making fun of that song. He said, "Turn off the lights." Yeah. I remember, yo, that song. The chorus gets me. The chorus gets me with that drum. This man was singing his heart out in the studio. DJ Khaled's Take It to the Head. Hell's Kitchen, I think, was on that album. Well, with J. Cole, I thought that was a great song. A bunch of other just. Oh, Neo's Lazy Love. I remember listening to that during 2 days, like during football's 2 days. I remember listening to that Lazy Love. That's one of my favorite Neo songs. Honestly, for me, 2 Chainz. I think that was the year of 2 Chainz, because when this man dropped out different, that piano, the dun 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 dun. He said 2 Chainz. Yeah, that joke was crazy. Oh yeah, ASAP dropped that year. Fucking Problems with him, ASAP, Drake, and Kendrick. What are we talking about? But I think those are probably my top three. But my two honorable mention that I was really struggling with, I couldn't decide on what to put, which one over the other, was 2018. That was actually going to be my first choice, just off the strength of the Carter 5 definitely dropped that year, and Scorpion dropped that year. Now, the reason why I had to go back on it is because I can't. Oh, Kamikaze came out that year. I think Jordan Lucas ADHD came out that year as well. I can't say I was the biggest fan of Scorpion, so I that even though that was like one of the bigger albums that dropped that year, I had to decide against 2018 just because I wasn't that big of a fan of Scorpion. And the Carter 5, even though the Carter 5 was a great album, I can't say it was a classic because I think other albums in like 2012 and 2010 and 2015, like more classic albums, I think dropped in those 3 years than in 2018. Kamikaze was a good album. I can't say it was a classic album. I enjoyed that, listening to that a lot with him coming at everybody, but I can't say that I'm going back to Kamikaze and listen to that album for. Carter 5, I listened to singles off that album, but I can't say I'm going back to that album to listen straight through. Scorpion, I listened to that album, but I can't say I'm listening to that straight through. I listened to singles off there. And not to say that those three are the only songs that came out like in 2018, but when I think of 2018, those are like the highlights. Jordan Lucas' album, I can't even say I listened to that joint straight through, but I listened to singles off. I think there was a lot of good singles that dropped in 2018, such as, Cardi. Did Cardi B drop there? Oh yeah. Actually, no. Cardi dropped in the beginning of 2018. I remember that. That was actually, like I said, I can't listen to that album straight through. It was a good album, but I can't listen to it straight through. There was a good song up there. Like, I know they played the hell out of that song. I like it. I like it. I remember they played the hell out of that. That genre was getting overplayed. But man, Juice WRLD, RP Juice. This man's birthday was yesterday, December 2nd. This man dropped with Goodbye Good Riddance. That whole album was, I can't listen to that for the most part straight through. Astroworld, that was the biggest album I think of that year. Astroworld was a phenomenal body of work. With Sicko Mode and Sicko Mode and Stargazing are probably my two favorite songs of that album. Migos dropped Culture 3, or was it Culture 2 dropped. Wasn't a fan of Culture 2. But 2018 had a bunch of good songs. Mo Bamba, the Black Panther soundtrack came out that year. Nicki Minaj's album, I thought her album was kind of a disappointment, to be honest. Um, XXX Tentacion dropped that year. Uh, Black, uh, Black Boy JB will Look Alive. I thought that was a great song. The beat goes so hard in that genre. R.I.P. Nipsey Hussle, he dropped that year. I think he died earlier that year. But his album's actually a really good album. I can listen to that for the most part, pretty much straight through. But Big Bang with YG, 2 Chainz, that was a good song. 6ix9ine dropped for 6ix9ine dropped. That's all I'm gonna say about that. This man 6ix9ine dropped. But like I said, for me, 2018, there was a lot of good songs. Like Meek Mill dropped that year. Championships, I didn't necessarily. For me, there was a lot of albums that dropped, but like I don't necessarily think that there was any classics that dropped that year, as opposed to like 2012, like this band Good Kid, Mad City, that's a classic album. 2018, you had a lot of artists drop that year. There was a lot of good music that was dropping. But in terms of like classics and stuff that came out, or like great bodies of work that came out that year, it's like it was more like it was a lot of singles, a lot of great songs that came out, but can't say it was as good as those like top 3. Another year I was struggling with was 2011. Like I said, Take Care came out that year. My favorite, I can't. Fuck it. My favorite album by Lil Wayne, The Carter 4, came out that year. Like I said, Take Care, Carter 4. I remember Lil Wayne's feature on Kelly Rowland's Motivation. I remember I used to listen to that on my iPod, or no, not my iPod. Actually, I had my speakers, whatever, and I could hook up my iPod to it. But you can also listen to the radio on there. I remember when I was listening to the radio, I didn't know what I wanted to listen to. I put the radio on, and when I tell you that the 3 songs that were played on repeat was Motivation. What was that big song with him and Chris Brown? Hands Up in the Air. My Last. That song was on repeat. Like I could not on like 3 different stations type time. Like that song was everywhere. And what was the third one? I'm on one. Those 3 songs were everywhere, and they were played consistently that year. And they almost to the point where like them songs got ran to the ground. Luckily, those are good enough songs where I can like listen to them now and not get too annoyed. But when I tell you those 3 songs were everywhere, like constantly on repeat. Like like here is Kelly Rowland's Motivation. Like bro, like that joint was just everywhere. But other singles that came out, Niggas in Paris was a good with Jay-Z and Kanye. Beyonce dropped her album, which had a lot of good singles on there with what was it? The best thing I ever had, or something. I forget what that song's called. The Best Thing I Ever Had, or whatever. Love on Top. That song was a good song. Kurt Cobain's dropped Drink in My Cup. Don't know where this man's at anymore, man. But Big Sean dropped Dance, like headlines, like She Will. Meek Mills, I'm a Boss. Jay-Z and Kanye's Otis. Nicki Minaj's Moment for Life. Wale's Lotus Flower Bomb. Miguel Sure Thing. Jamie Foxx's Fall for Your Type. 2011. Oh wow, Sideline Story came out there. I forgot about that. J. Cole's Sideline Story. Workout. I know that song. Everyone makes fun of that song, but I thought that was a good song. Can't Get Enough. Future's Tony Montana came out that year. T-Pain's 5 o'clock in the morning. I remember hearing that song a bunch that year too. Yeah. It was a good year. I struggled. Like I wanted to put that above 2010, But I had to go with 2010 just for the sake of like the time period and just like it was the beginning of the decade and just like it was just it was like it felt like it was just like a shift and I just couldn't. I had to put that over 2011, man. 2011 was a good year though. That was one of my favorite years. Like that was my freshman year. That's one of my favorite years in high school. Just so much was happening. I was like, oh my gosh. But nah, it has to stay in my honorable mentions. But man, what a time. But let me know in the comments what you guys, out of the 2010s, what was your favorite year of music? What was your favorite albums? Did you agree with what I said? With my top three? If I missed some albums, what were some of your favorite albums of those years? And what were your thoughts on it? But yeah. Shout out to those artists, man. So many people dropped so much good music, man. It was just such a good time. Such a good time. But like I said, I'm actually going to make another video on the 2000s and talk about all the reason why I love the 2000s and stuff like that. And then it's all going to come together to see the best years out of these past 20 years, or since the year 2000, since the new millennium. So stay tuned for that. But until then, I will check y'all out later. Peace. Oh, pillow.